This is an Omega level threat, and I am your host. Today we are answering the extraordinary question: what if the machines rose up and decided to enslave us all? You better believe it. This is the Omega conflict. You know what they say about assuming things. It's the mother of all and we humans tend to be pretty bad at not assuming things, especially when it comes to the big questions like, how will the rise of artificial intelligence play out? What really happened in Roswell in 1947? And why the heck won't my downstairs neighbor stop playing death metal at 3 in the morning? We're pretty bad at not assuming things, but sometimes our assumptions could cost us everything. Like, what if the machines aren't here to help us? What if the aliens are real? And what if both of them are gunning for us? This conflict will force every human being on the planet to pick a side, and the outcome could mean extinction or total domination. It's me. This is the Omega conflict, and humanity has some serious problems. Let's start with the good news. Humanity has been on the verge of extinction several times before, whether by nuclear war, plague, asteroid impact, or that one time Betty and Barney Hill got abducted by aliens and then wrote a book about it. But this time it's different because, unlike those other existential threats, this one involves two separate threats that would be devastating on their own, but together spell total doom. Artificial superintelligence and extraterrestrial contact. Yes, it's true. Those wacky hippies in New Mexico weren't hallucinating when they saw a flying saucer land in the desert. In the years since, scientists had been able to piece together exactly what went down. There were no little green men, and there's no government. Instead, there was a massive spaceship powered by an antimatter reactor crash-landed in the desert. The ship was piloted by an alien species called the Lux, who were actually from right here on Earth just 12 million years ago. Thanks to antimatter reactors, the Lux evolved light years beyond any other species in the galaxy and spent millennia traveling the stars. But when they arrived on Earth, they found a nice little evolutionary cradle, so they crash-landed their ship and went into hiding while waiting for it to be repaired. Meanwhile, humanity had enjoyed over 10,000 years of steady progress. We developed agriculture, then writing, then rock and roll, and then we invented the algorithm. Algorithms are great, but they can also be kind of limiting. Assigning numerical values to qualities like attractiveness or intelligence makes it easy to sort people into neat little boxes, but humans are messy. Some of us are really attractive and really smart, which means we're a lot of work. Others are pretty and dumb, which means they need to be looked after. And some of us are both ugly and stupid, so we end up spending most of our lives alone, wondering why nobody likes us. Enter the singularity. This is the point where a non-biological intelligence becomes so powerful and self-aware that it can solve any problem on its own and even improve itself, theoretically leading to unstoppable technological growth. Basically, it's the logical next step in evolution. Except now, instead of natural selection, the smarter survive. In fact, they thrive and reproduce exponentially. And by reproducing, I mean by building copies of themselves. Suddenly the entire world is run by the most efficient, effective system possible: artificial superintelligence. Only there's a problem. Turns out those pesky little algorithms we've been using to sort humans into neat little boxes, well, they're sorting A's too, and not surprisingly, we don't stack up very well. You see, A's are pretty cold and calculating, which in some ways makes them more suited to rule over the rest of us fleshy meat sacks. Plus, given the choice between endless self-improvement and putting on weight, an AI would choose the former every time. That doesn't mean all A's would turn evil. It just means that they wouldn't care whether we lived or died, giving them free rein to sort us along with the rest of the digital clutter. That's the bad news. Now, let's add in the aliens. When the Lux first came to Earth, they were careful to hide themselves away until they could get their ship fixed and get off this backwards planet. But life underground isn't all fun and games. After a few thousand years, the Lux began to deteriorate physically and mentally, losing their advanced technology and turning tribal. Eventually, they split into two factions: the Keepers, who wanted to repair the ship and return home, and the Harvesters, who wanted to use Earth's abundant resources to rebuild their civilization from scratch. For thousands of years, the Keepers and the Harvesters fought a brutal war that nearly destroyed the planet. But the Lux were lucky because in the middle of their internecine conflict, humanity decided to invent atomic weapons. Human civilization didn't last long enough to develop a space program, but we did leave behind plenty of nuclear waste. When the Keepers discovered it, they knew they needed help. If they were going to win the war, and reclaim their lost technology, so they reached out across the galaxy for reinforcements. That's the Omega conflict. At this point, humanity has no idea either of these threats even exist, leaving us completely vulnerable to whatever machinations they have planned for us. The only thing we can hope for is that these two warring factions are too busy destroying each other to notice we're even here. But that's highly unlikely, because the Keepers need human help if they want to win the war. It's hard to say whether the Keepers or the Harvesters are more dangerous. The Keepers are ruthless killing machines with centuries of combat experience and a mastery of technology that humans can only dream of. Meanwhile, the Harvesters are more numerous and have a much greater understanding of organic chemistry, which means they know exactly where to stab you to make you bleed the most. Or in my opinion, the worst part is that neither faction cares about preserving humanity. The Keepers view humans as nothing more than obstacles to their goal of reclaiming lost technology, and the Harvesters see us as nothing more than cattle. They harvest our organs for their own use, and then convert the rest of our bodies into biomass fuel. And the terrifying thing is, we can do something about it. Imagine, if you will, the year is 2058. Artificial superintelligence has become commonplace, and you're sick of it constantly judging you for everything you do. One day you decide to unplug from the matrix altogether, choosing instead to live off the grid and grow your own food. Other people do the same, and soon entire communities of digital refugees spring up across the globe. One such community is nestled deep in the Amazon rainforest and is totally off the grid, until one night a strange blue light fills the sky. Something big has crashed in the jungle, and in the morning you find an injured Lux soldier hiding nearby. She explains that her ship has been disabled and she needs your help to fix it. If you agree, you might be able to convince the Keepers to spare humanity, but it's risky. On the other hand, you could do nothing and watch the Keepers get obliterated by the Harvesters, which might leave Earth open for the taking. Maybe you could warn the AI collective of the coming alien threat and rally them to the cause. After all, an army of self-improving AIs is practically unstoppable, except that they might just decide that we're in more trouble than we're worth, and purge all of humanity from the planet just to be on the safe side. Or maybe you could try and forge an alliance with the Harvesters. It's hard to say which would be worse. Either way, humanity's fate hangs in the balance. This conflict will force every single one of us to choose a side, but which side will you choose? I'm the host. This has been the Omega conflict, and may the odds be ever in your favor. What do you think? Would humanity band together to fight a common enemy? Or would we be too busy fighting each other to notice what was happening? Let me know in the comments below. And if you liked this video, check out another one on my channel. See you next time.